Picture yourself in a tent. It's the middle of the night, you're somewhere with actual wildlife in it, and something outside snaps a twig. You go very still. You listen. And between you and whatever that is, there is 1 millimeter of nylon. That's it. That is the entire wall of your house right now. A bear could open it like a crisp packet. A big cat wouldn't even notice the resistance, and yet you lie back down. And in the morning, you're fine. Because you knew, in some part of you that you never actually examined, that nothing was going to come in. Now zoom out, and take the nylon away, because your ancestors didn't have that either. Picture a camp, 300,000 years ago. 20 or so people, lying on the open ground, in the dark, unconscious. No walls, no door, no lock. Soft, slow, hairless animals, packed together, all switched off at the same time, in a landscape absolutely full of things that eat meat. That is, on paper, the single most attractive target on the continent. It's a buffet with the lids off. It's a pile of the easiest calories any leopard will ever encounter, laid out in the open, and it happens every single night, in exactly the same place. And it's worth being specific about who's out there, because predators is a cozy word that hides what we're talking about. Leopards, which specialize in exactly your body size and can carry a dead animal heavier than you into a tree. Hyenas, which are not the cowardly scavengers of the cartoons, but organized, clever, and perfectly happy to take something living. Lions. In some places and times, bears the size of a small car, and cats with canines like carving knives. This isn't a landscape with a bit of danger in it. This is a landscape where the meat-eating business is thoroughly staffed, and everyone in it is looking for exactly one thing, something soft that can't fight back. So why is it still there in the morning? Because that's the thing nobody stops to ask. We talk about how ancient humans survived predators, like it was a fight. It mostly wasn't. Most nights, the predators just didn't come. Something about a human camp made the most efficient killers in the world look at a pile of sleeping food and decide, no thanks, I'll walk. And the reason why is not the reason you think. It's not that we were strong. It's not even really fire. It's something much stranger. And by the end of this, you'll understand why you can walk through a forest today and nothing hunts you. Let's go. Start with the obvious answer, because everybody's already shouting it. Fire. Animals are afraid of fire. You build a fire, the animals stay away. Video over. And look, fire does things. It's light, so the predator loses the darkness it was relying on. It's smoke, which advertises you from a distance. It's a signal that something is going on here that isn't a normal night in the grass. All of that is real. But I want to be honest with you about the fire thing, because it's repeated with a confidence that the evidence doesn't quite earn. The idea that a campfire is a magic force field that animals will not cross, that's mostly an assumption. It's something everybody knows, which is always a warning sign. And when people have actually looked at it, the picture gets messier. Lions will absolutely walk near fires. Predators habituate to things that never hurt them. And there's the awkward business we've talked about before, where evidence for regular fire use in some cold period sites is thinner than you'd expect for a species supposedly relying on it to not get eaten. A fire is genuinely useful. A fire is not a wall. If fire were all your ancestors had, the numbers would not have worked out. And before we go further, I have to admit something, because it makes the answer better rather than worse. This was not always true. Go back far enough, and our side of this story is humiliating. The early hominins, the small ones, the ones barely over a meter tall, were straightforwardly prey. We find their bones in the places predators leave bones. We find skulls with holes in them that fit a big cat's teeth. For millions of years, the arrangement was simple. They ate us. So something flipped, somewhere between being a small ape that got carried into a tree and being a camp that a lion walks around. The entire relationship inverted. And the flip is the interesting bit, because nothing about our bodies got scarier. We didn't grow claws. We got slower, if anything. Whatever changed, it happened outside the body. So the fire is part of it. It's just nowhere near the whole answer. And the whole answer starts with understanding your enemy properly. So let's fix the biggest misconception you have about predators. You think of a predator as an aggressive animal. It isn't. A predator is a nervous accountant. Here's why. A leopard has exactly one asset: its body. That body is the entire business. There's no backup, there's no savings account, there's nobody to bring it food while it recovers. And the horrifying thing about being a predator is that the thing you eat has hooves, or horns, or teeth, and it does not want to be eaten, and it will absolutely take a swing at you on the way down. So think about what a single bad night costs. A kick that cracks a rib, a hoof that breaks a canine, a wound in a paw that gets infected. There is no vet, there is no antibiotic. A broken tooth doesn't mean discomfort. It means every future hunt is now slightly worse. Forever, and slightly worse compounds until you starve. Predators die of injuries constantly. Not from being killed in a fight, from being slightly damaged and then slowly failing. Which means every predator alive is running a very tight piece of arithmetic on every single opportunity. Not, can I kill this? The question is, what is the chance this costs me something I can't afford? And if that number is anything but tiny, the correct answer, the answer that made it to adulthood, the answer that gets to have cubs, is walk away. This is why predators go for the young, the old, the sick, and above all, the one that wandered off. Not because they're cruel, because those are the options with no downside. Predators aren't hunting for food, they're hunting for safe food. And now, look again at that camp. It is not a pile of sleeping meat. Not to a professional. To a professional, it's a group. And a group means the odds of being noticed on approach are high, and if you are noticed, you're not dealing with one panicking animal, you're dealing with 20 of them, awake, upright, and coordinated. It means noise. It means multiple angles. And crucially, uniquely, it means a prey species that does not just scatter. Because that's the part that has no equivalent anywhere else in the animal world. Almost everything else, when you attack it, runs. The herd explodes outward and you take the slow one. That's the entire model. Humans invert it. When something threatens a human group, the humans move toward the problem, together, shouting, throwing things. And they don't stop when you let go and back off. They follow you. There is no other prey animal that pursues its predator. Wildebeest don't hold grudges. Zebras don't organize a search party. That behavior is so far outside the normal rules of the savanna that predators have no strategy for it, because nothing in their evolutionary history built one. And there's a quieter thing going on that makes the approach itself almost impossible. A predator's whole opening move depends on the target not knowing it's there. But a camp of 20 people of every age never actually goes fully unconscious at the same time. Somebody's baby is awake. Somebody's grandmother has been up since 4. Somebody's just poking the fire because they can't sleep. Nobody's on guard duty. It just happens because people vary. From the outside, in the dark, that's an animal with 20 pairs of ears that never all close. There is no moment to move. And a camp is loud. Even a quiet one. Voices, coughing, someone shifting, wood cracking, the low murmur of a species that cannot stop communicating. To a leopard, sound is information. And that information says, they are awake, they are many, and they already know something is out here, which is the exact opposite of every condition a predator needs. And here's where it goes from tactics to something much bigger. Because a leopard doesn't just experience a bad night. A leopard learns from it. This is the thing that gets missed. We talk about predators like they're weather, a force that just happens. They're not. They're individuals with memories and a strong interest in not repeating painful experiences. A leopard that goes into a human camp and gets a spear in the shoulder and barely gets out does not file that under unlucky. It files that under never again, and it lives another 10 years, and every single night of those 10 years, it goes somewhere else. That's one animal, permanently removed from your problem, by one bad night that it survived. And it goes further than the individual, because young predators learn what to hunt from their mothers. A leopard cub follows its mother for a year and a half, learning the shape of the world. What's food, what's dangerous, what to ignore. If she avoids the smoke and the noise and the smell of people, the cub grows up avoiding it too, and never knows why. It just knows, and its cubs will know. So what your ancestors were actually building, night after night, over 100,000 years, was not a defense. It was a reputation. They were teaching an entire ecosystem, one animal at a time. A very simple lesson. Those things are not worth it. And the mechanism that made that lesson stick, the thing that changed the arithmetic permanently, is the one your ancestors invented, and nothing else on Earth has. Distance. Think about what every predator strategy on the planet has in common. To hurt you, it has to touch you. Every claw, every tooth, every ambush, every strategy in the whole book assumes contact, which means the risk is symmetrical. If it can reach you, you can reach it. That's the deal all animals have with each other, and it's been the deal for hundreds of millions of years. A thrown rock breaks the deal. A human standing 30 meters away can hurt you, and you cannot do anything about it. You can't threaten your way out of it, because your threat display only works within touching distance. You can't rush them, because they'll throw again while you close. The one skill you spent your whole evolutionary life perfecting, the ambush, the pounce, the contact, is now useless, because these animals damage things they aren't near. That's not a weapon. That's a violation of physics as far as every other animal is concerned. And a spear is worse. It's a rock that arrives with a person's whole body weight behind it. Suddenly the accountant's arithmetic isn't, what's the chance this thing hurts me if I get close? It's, this thing can hurt me and I cannot make it stop. There's no countermove. There's no version of the encounter where you win. And an animal that can't win an encounter doesn't take the encounter. So the camp isn't protected by the fire. The camp is protected by the fact that everything in the dark has done the math, and the math says leave. And here's the thing that should genuinely rearrange your head. That reputation is the reason you're comfortable right now. You did not earn it. You have never fought a leopard. You would lose immediately. And we both know it. When you walk through a forest and nothing comes for you, that's not because you're impressive. It's because 100,000 generations of your ancestors spent every night of their lives writing that lesson into the animals around them, and you're living inside the result. You inherited a reputation. The dark is empty because they emptied it. And you don't have to take my word for that, because people have tested it, and the result is genuinely one of the most unsettling things I've read. Here's the setup. You put a speaker at a water hole in Africa, where everything comes to drink. You wire it to a camera, and when an animal shows up, you play it a sound. Sometimes it's lions, snarling, growling, the actual sound of the thing that eats you. Sometimes it's just people. Not shouting, not hunting, just human beings talking, calmly, in normal voices, the way you'd talk on a bus. And the animals run from the humans more. Not equally, more. Elephants, giraffes, warthogs, antelope, across the board, a recording of two people having a quiet conversation cleared the waterhole faster and more completely than the sound of a lion. Some of them didn't just leave, they abandoned the water entirely. And these are animals that live with lions. Lions are a Tuesday. Lions are a known, survivable, negotiable problem that they have coping strategies for. A calm human voice is not a negotiable problem. There is no coping strategy. And a whole continent of animals apparently knows it. Read that again, because of what it actually means. The most frightening sound on the African savanna is not a lion. It's us, talking normally. Not roaring, not attacking. Chatting. That is what a couple of million years of reputation sounds like from the outside. We have become, to everything with ears out there, the thing that lions are to everything else. Except worse, because at least a lion can be watched and outrun and understood. Now, honesty time. Because there are exceptions, and they're famous, and they matter. Because sometimes an animal does come, and when it does, the pattern is so consistent it actually proves the whole argument. Look at the famous man-eaters, the Champawat tiger, which killed an enormous number of people in India before Jim Corbett shot it. And when he examined it, its canines were broken, the jaw damaged by an old gunshot wound. It physically could not hunt what a tiger is supposed to hunt. The Tsavo lions in Kenya, which stopped a railway bridge in 1898. One of them had serious dental disease, painful enough that biting a buffalo was likely off the table. That's the pattern. The man-eater is almost always an animal that has run out of options. It's the accountant going bankrupt. When the safe food becomes impossible because your teeth are broken, because you're old, because your territory's gone, then, and mostly only then, does the arithmetic tip and the risky slow ape becomes worth it. Although, and this is where I have to be careful, because these stories get told with a lot more certainty than they deserve. The details are genuinely argued about. Victim counts from a century ago are not exactly audited figures, and they grow in the telling. Researchers have looked at the chemistry of the Tsavo lion's remains and concluded the numbers were considerably lower than the legend says. And the dental disease explanation is one hypothesis among several. Other people point to drought, to disease wiping out the prey, to the fact that there was, right there, a large number of people in an unusual and vulnerable situation. So, the broad pattern of desperate animals is well supported. The neat little morality tale of broken tooth, therefore man-eater, is a story we like more than the evidence strictly supports. There's one more thing that made a camp radioactive, and it's the one you can't see: smell. A camp is a wall of information. Smoke, which means burning, which every animal on the continent has a relationship with. Rotting scraps, waste, sweat, foreign, sharp, wrong smells that don't occur naturally anywhere else in that landscape. Predators are often deeply suspicious of novelty. A new thing in a known place is a good way to die, so animals that investigate strange things tend not to leave many descendants. Your camp didn't just look weird. It smelled weird from hundreds of meters out. The nose said, "Something is happening over there that has no precedent. Go around." And eventually, much later, your ancestors did something even cleverer. They stopped keeping watch themselves and outsourced it. They let a predator move in. A dog is a nose that never sleeps and never gets bored, positioned outside your camp, with a strong opinion about anything approaching it. We argue about when exactly this happened. The dates are contested and the estimates range across tens of thousands of years, but the effect is not in doubt. Once you have dogs, you have an early warning system, with better hearing than you, better smell than you, that works for scraps, and is genuinely enthusiastic about the job. The camp stopped being a thing that could be approached quietly, and a predator's entire strategy is approaching quietly. And notice the trick in that, because it's the same trick as everything else in this video. They didn't beat the predator, they made it a better offer. Come sit by the fire, eat the parts we don't want, and in exchange, do the one thing you're already better at than us. It's the first time a species ever hired another one, and the animal that took the job was, of all the things on the list, a wolf, one of the few animals out there that hunts in a coordinated group and follows a target that fights back. We didn't recruit a random helper, we recruited the only other animal on the landscape that thought like us. So let's put it together. Why did predators avoid human camps? Not because we were strong, we weren't. Not because of fire alone, which is useful and oversold. They avoided us because a predator is an animal that cannot afford to be injured, and a human camp was the highest risk, lowest reward option in the entire landscape. Because we didn't scatter, we converged. Because we could hurt things we weren't touching, which broke a rule that had held for hundreds of millions of years. Because we smelled wrong. Because we eventually hired the competition. And most of all, because every predator that ever tested us and survived spent the rest of its life teaching its children to stay away. We didn't win by being frightening, we won by being not worth it. Over and over, until it became a fact of nature. And that's the strangest part, and then I'll let you go back to your tent. Every animal out there is still running the program. The wolves that watch you from a tree line and never come closer. The bear that leaves when it hears you. They're not being polite. They're doing exactly what their great-great-grandmothers taught them, which is what your great-great-grandparents taught theirs. At enormous cost, on 100,000 freezing nights, one bad decision at a time. So the tent. 1 millimeter of nylon, and something outside snapping a twig, and you roll over and go back to sleep. The nylon isn't what's keeping you safe. The nylon is nothing. What's keeping you safe is a story about your species that's been passed down inside animals for longer than we've had language, that says, those ones look easy, and they are not easy. And the ones who found out are not here to tell you about it. You're not sleeping behind a wall, you're sleeping behind a reputation. And you didn't build it, but you're using it tonight.